It's empty, Gale.
The Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast, everybody. It is Tuesday, or is it? We're pre-recorded. That's right. We did not go live. It's not that we've never done pre-recorded episodes before. Of course, we have, especially when we take time off. But I have to say, I'm enjoying this one because after 5 years, officially, and after 350 episodes, I was like, I don't want to do a live next week. I feel like I was consistently made an episode and put it out on Tuesdays for 5 years. I should be able to take a week off, not really, but at least just pre-record, and It feels nice. So, good. Thanks for joining me on this journey, producer Paul.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Glad to be a part of the pre-recorded. That's good, because then every time I mess up, you can just cut it out and I'll be like, shit.
And I think we're gonna do this more often, honestly. Like, it's, we'll have some more fun. I think pre-records are fun sometimes because we can get guests that can't come on at certain times and stuff like that. So I think that's gonna be a lot more fun. But I want to thank the sponsor of tonight's podcast, if you will, and that is Sticker Mule. Thank you, Sticker Mule. We really appreciate you. And I know I have gotten some blowback from some of the audience because I guess Sticker Mule supports a different candidate than I do. But I'm sorry, that does not mean I'm going to run away from somebody or a small business of some sort. But Sticker Mule has been good to me. I think they deliver good service. And if you want to go check them out, you should. If you're up and willing for that, the link is down below.
Heck yeah.
It's still Snobtober.
Yes, it is.
Are you enjoying your... Dude, I am having so much fun with my watch.
Same. I always try to watch different horror movies because I watch horror movies all year long. So people are like, oh, what 31 are you going to watch? I'm like, I watch a horror movie every day, no matter fucking what. But there's certain ones I try to keep off limits until around Halloween, where it really gets me in the true spirit of Halloween.
Well, what is your watch thus far? What have you now? Is it a list that you put together and compiled, or is it just day by day? You're like, I'm checking stuff out.
It's kind of more just a day by day. So the last one I watched this morning was Trick or Treat, for instance. That's one I saved just for Halloween season. It's a great movie. I'd love to watch it during the year, but that's one just for right now. Been kind of going more with the classics recently. So going back to Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, things like that, just to try and enjoy the originals.
Oh my God. I just realized something I want to give to you.
No,
not gonorrhea again.
Thank God. I thought I was about to get served.
No. I have these shot glasses I bought about 5 years ago. I love them, but I don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I think I never use them. I use them more for decorative, but they're all of the Universal monsters.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
I got to wrap those up and I'll package them up. And sometime in the next 3 months, as you may know, you'll get them.
Hell yeah. I'll be like, what's this? And I'll be like, yes.
If you guys are ever a part of, well, here's where I'm abusive about it. If you are a follower, you're an audience member, you're a patron member, something maybe you want to give away, I make sure your stuff goes out really fast. Mm-hmm. If we are friendly, like even acquaintances, I'll make sure your stuff goes out real fast. If we're friendly and up, so like, and it's worse the farther up you go. So Paul has the chance of getting these. Like, he'll either get them by Carolina Fear Fest next May.
Yep.
Or if I visit before that, or he visits me or whatever. Or I can mail them from about a week to 3 years from now. So
yep.
I am terrible. I worked for the post office. I was one of their fastest guys, if you could believe it. back when my body
Absolutely.
worked. You would have loved me as a coworker because you would have been like, dude hustles.
Hell yeah.
So, but like, I can't mail a goddamn letter or package to save my life. If I have to pay a bill, I swear to, dude, we all know I grew up Catholic, you know, hence why I tend to rally against them. So, but I belonged to the Knights of Columbus for a while, and I have insurance through them.
Okay.
Still a member. I still pay my dues. I still keep up with my insurance. And I'm still technically all those things Catholic. So I just don't adopt the church. So by all of those things, I'm like still get my insurance. I think I'm still entitled to like do my insurance too. Right?
Hell yeah.
But I have to, because they're not the 21st fucking century, Knights of Columbus, you still have to mail your payments in.
That's crazy.
And that
like
is
a check?
Yeah. I have to write out
Whoa.
a check like 2 times a year for it. And they mail me something to remind me. They don't email me reminders, anything.
God
they
bless.
mail me something to remind me and tell me how much I owe. And then I have to pay it with a check. Every time, man, I'm like, I'm on the brink of when it's due because I'm like, I can't, and I'm disciplined with that one. If you are just like, there's 3 times a year when it comes to the mail, I'm disciplined, other than giveaways, is those 2 payments and the Christmas cards.
That's fair.
So I mean, now here's where it gets fucked up with the Christmas cards. The Scene Snobs Christmas cards is, I don't know when I'm going to get them done.
Right. But they do get mailed out.
So they do get mailed out. Yeah. So I don't know.
Perfect.
Like, oh man, those are fun. I don't mind doing those. Those are always a good time. I hate mailing shit. I really do. And the one day my wife today, we dropped the kids off at school and then she's like, I need to go to the post office. Like, on it, gonna go. And it was closed because it's so I forgot.
Oh, is
and
it?
Yeah, I guess for Columbus. I don't know whether the federal government closes for Indigenous Peoples Day or they still observe Columbus Day. I have no idea. Gotcha. The Indigenous Peoples Day, cool with. Columbus, like, and it's not even about being woke. I never gave a shit about Columbus when people were cool with him. Nice. I remember pre-1992.
That's nice.
Everybody liked Columbus back then, before 1992. But yeah, so, and I didn't really care about him then. I was like, cool, whatever. You found some land. You're you know, I find shit all the time. I found a Playboy in the woods. Am I Christopher Columbus now?
Someone's gonna find my T-shirt in the woods after this weekend.
That's a perfect segue if you want to tell that story.
So you guys, this is
you're going all
PSA
in.
to let you know to listen to your bodies. I was not feeling too good on Saturday morning. Still went on charity walk because I'm a trooper. 2 blocks in, had to run straight to the woods, find a nice tree, lean over, and shit my brains out. Of course, in the comfort of what I was wearing, I wasn't wearing socks because I was just wearing Crocs. So there was no socks to be used. So thank God I had a sweater. So I took the sweater off, grabbed my T-shirt off, used that, and was on my merry way. I'm not going to say what T-shirt it is, but it's a bright color. So someone's going to see that shirt and walk over there and be like, what is this? And be like, oh my God, does a Paul shit in the woods? I sure fucking did.
Oh, we all do it too. I don't want to hear, and I'm not, listen, this is all genders involved. All right. You got to shit.
Yeah.
And if you're somewhere, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it. It's either in your pants, wherever you're sitting or standing, or you're going out there and you're going to test those bowels in the woods.
I guess I was celebrating Columbus Day early. I was trying to get back to the roots of leaning against trees and all that. It was nice.
That's the worst. Is when you got to do that shit and you're out. Yeah. And then it becomes like, you know what it feels like? I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but if you shit somewhere outside away from home, all you want is desperately to get home. That's it. You don't want any of friends. You'll take a friend's house. And the closer the friend, the better.
Yeah.
But because you need that, you become like that person in like those sitcoms where they do that trope where like, we lost all of our clothes and we're across town and we have to get home. And the most asinine way of doing it is trying to like sneakily get home naked. Like that's what it feels like when you shit outside and just you're stuck. You're out there.
Yep.
You want to just go home.
Yep.
It's so horrible. I feel bad for you, sir. But you are absolved from your sins, because clearly I'm still Catholic. I can do that. And
appreciate it.
So you're absolved of your sins and all of your shame. You are allowed to hold your head high and say, screw it. I told this on a podcast. And that takes balls. That takes balls. So thank you.
So make sure you wash your hands, guys, because there are bugs going around with the cold.
It's a perfect way to end that PSA. Wash your hands.
God, man, I thought I washed them enough. Apparently, fucking not.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I mean, you catch it easy, you know. But and it's so crazy because it's like one sickness because there's also like this huge flu going.
Yeah,
you know, and but it's funny because we went to go get the kids flu shots like 2 weeks ago. I think it was end of September, and they said it's a little early in the season. We know there's something going around, but it's a little early in the season for it. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah,
it's always fun. That's fun. That's great to hear. All the strands. I'm not. It's not even that I'm scared of getting sick.
Right.
You know?
Just don't be knocked out. I get that. That's why I've only done one flu shot, because last time I took a flu shot, it knocked me out, and I felt like I had like a mild flu, but I still felt like I had a mild flu for like 3 weeks. It was miserable. I was like, I'd rather just have the flu for 4 days and call it than 3 weeks of just like I was trash.
Oh, yeah, it's the worst. It's crazy. But yeah, honestly, it's just been nice. It's been really nice this weekend. I didn't shit outside.
Must be nice.
I don't want to say that, because now I gotta go to a football game tonight and I'm gonna have to shit outside.
Hell yeah. Porter John with some kid that peed all over the seat. I hope so.
I will squat with the best of them. I have the weakest knees there is now. And I will do I will muster every ounce of strength. I will put my arms so hard against those walls. The textile strength will be tested its fullest limits.
Hell yeah.
Hold my ass up. I'll go home. It's 5 minutes away. Kid, it was great seeing the game. You did well. We'll pick you up. I have to go and poop, but it's the test. No, I know. I'll be fine. I'll clip one off right before the game. And
hell yeah.
You didn't expect me to come with this pre-recorded energy, did you?
No, I didn't, and I'm about it.
Well, I want to get into the topic because you inspired tonight's topic.
Woo-woo.
And that is,
yes,
I forgot. What is art? What is art? Our movie's art. Because you know what it was? This also stems from, I started this conversation in our group chat. And goddamn did some bite. And it was beautiful. I really liked it, though. I love those types of conversations. But it stems from you, because we were talking about Terrifier 3.
Yes.
And here's what gets to me. Listen, I like those guys. Damien, David, all of them. I like those guys. And I'll get into their filmmaking in a moment. And it is going to be very complimentary in what will seem a backhanded way.
Right.
And we are reviewing the movie tonight. But I have now watched that movie 3 times. Okay. 1, to review. Yes. 2, to make sure I saw what I saw. And 3, which I never intended to see it more than once. So twice was enough for me. All right. Okay. And the 3rd time was because Paul challenged my every notion of movies. So
you're welcome.
I appreciate it. And listen, I'm not unappreciative, because it was all different hats I wore when I watched them. And I did when I watched it last night, I got a newfound appreciation for something. Weirdly enough, and this is going to be spoiler, and we know it just came out. So if you're not planning on seeing it and you're cool with the spoilers, join in. So like when we get to the review portion, it won't be spoilerish. We'll just talk about more on the movie side. But I think it's important when we're talking art because it started from this ironically Art the Clown, but it started from this conversation, and I want to broaden it because it's not like I really want to get down to the deep root of it. But Terrifier 3 to me, like we were talking, you were like, you gave it a very high rating. Again, you'll see that in the review portion. I gave it more of a lower rating, and now a bit higher after watching it a third time.
Yes.
And it all comes into play because I think this is important when stuff like this is questioned. I think you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Watching that movie, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier, they're all uncomfortable to watch more than once. Not saying that people can't enjoy it more than once or this. Not saying that I didn't even I did enjoy it. So especially Terrifier 2, I did enjoy it. But seeing it more than once is a lot for a lot of people.
Right.
So seeing it 3 times, I definitely had to have different eyes each time.
Right.
And the third time propelled it up a bit because I was able to look at it from perspective of certain fans.
Right.
Where it was like a review cap, fan cap from me, my own fan cap. And then the third time was more like, I need to see this from like Paul's point of view or somebody else's point of view.
Right.
And I definitely get it. I get it. And it's because we were the kids who went to see the movies in the movie theaters, who straight up just, how do I put this the best way? We were the ones that were laughing our asses off at the crazy kills.
Yeah.
And cackling to the point where people in that audience who are not us, they're not those horror fans, are disgusted by our laughter.
Yes.
But it's not a laughter of disrespect. It's because we get what the filmmakers are doing. We know, and I understand that. And the reason I'm saying this is because I was one of the ones laughing. All right. All of it.
Yep.
I was one of the ones laughing along the whole time, the whole journey. But there comes a point where I start wondering what is art versus what is entertainment. And when it comes to Terrifier 3 and many shock movies like it, I love that it's entertainment. I'm not holding myself to a higher point. I don't think what I do is art, like podcasting, things. I don't think that's an art. I think it's entertainment, So, and I don't, but with saying that, I think there's a huge necessity for entertaining things. I think we need to stop hiding behind the idea of it being art, though.
Yes.
It's you can have pockets of art in something, but when it's finally all said and done, you put it out there. If it's more exploitative, to me, it's not art.
Right.
And I'm not all putting this on Terrifier 3. We were talking about other movies and stuff too along the way. So and I think that's okay, but a lot of people are pushing back and getting and arguing with me. And I'm like, I made my own movies. Some I would call artistic, some I would call not. And I'll tell you what, all the ones I would consider not, I would say were the ones where I had the most fun. Right. Because everybody wasn't as uptight. We were all having a good time. We have to tell the story. It's I know, but we can have fun too. We don't have to match the mood so what about you? Tell me why you think it's art.
Just because it's different. It's breaking the regular tropes of a slasher film to me. I think it's really unique the whole time that just Art never says a single thing or makes a sound himself. He'll make sounds with the horn. So I think the whole him kind of being like a mime adds a different element that I feel like a lot of people aren't bold enough to take that chance. I think he's able to tell his story just through his facial expressions a lot more, and you're watching everything he's doing because he's more animated. And I do think that takes a real art to acting to be able to do that, because even Dave Sheridan in Scary Movie, not anyone can just put on a costume and run around and make it work. I think it takes a dedicated and a certain type of individual to be able to do that and convey what's actually happening and to give it character. So
that's great. And that is a great point. And listen, David Howard Thornton is brilliant as well. And I don't and here's I will not argue again, that's the thing. The movie in a whole isn't very artistic to me. It is it's exploiting kills and things like that. Again, entertaining as hell. I can't there are movies that came out this year I will never watch again. Right. That have nothing to do with horror. There's a Jennifer Lopez movie that I could never muster to watch.
I forgot about that.
and
So good.
see, this is the thing, like where we're arguing about Terrifier 3 and whether I say it's art. I don't consider it art. Again, there's artistic pockets.
Mhm.
You have David Howard Thornton's performance, which is artistic. It's an artistic expression within this entertaining sort of bubble, I think.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think honestly, I think in some ways entertainment is needed almost as much as art.
You're right.
What we project as art, like what people tend to, this is art, like, entertainment is the concert, whereas the art is the song.
Right.
And there's many songs that work, but you wouldn't call a concert artistic because you have all these things. It's a show, it's entertainment. That's what I mean when I say this about like when it comes to movies. So like when people buck back at me, I'm like, I'm not even like saying you can't, like I would say that Terrifier 3 is on the cusp. It's near the line of art and entertainment, whereas that goddamn Jennifer Lopez movie that I'm not going to name that came out this year is nowhere near the line. Like that's the movie to me. It's like, if you're telling me that all movies are art and it's subjective, you're telling me that movie was art, and it's not. It's not. Artists may have contributed to it, but it's not an art piece.
No,
it's
not that one in particular.
This, that, and the other, like, and whatever it's exploiting in that moment. Which in that movie, it's Jennifer. That's it. It's just 100% exploiting her. Like, hey, look at me, I'm Jennifer Lopez.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know. I feel like I'm being hard, but at the same time, like, am I wrong? What do you think?
I don't think you're wrong. I feel like we do disagree on a lot of movies, so they're ones. I don't know. It's very subjective, and so I think to an aspect, whether it's entertaining or not, movies maybe they're not art, but they're their own form, to where it's all subjective to your experience or what you see or what you like. So
I like it. I mean, I don't. What the only thing I have to argue there is to what you like, because but like I like lots of things, and like I said, I think I said to Jason, because he was like anything that we create is art. I was like, is it though? Like I'm not saying not saying you can't be creative, but then you open it up to Tupperware as art, is it? Like you may be creative in its design, but you. And I think that's the break of like what is creativity versus art,
right?
So.
Yeah, Jason, go in the woods. I'll send you the coordinates. Tell me if that's art.
there's an original.
I love you, Jason. I'm sorry.
There's an original Flanksy out in the woods, and and he just tells art on shirts with
the demons one is all that story tells.
Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what's happening.
Commercial, I swear to God.
Oh God, dude!
I needed that bear to hand me toilet paper.
Could you imagine if you saw a bear? That shit would have come out a lot quicker.
It would have been all over me. I would have been running and shit. Man, that would have fucking sucked.
That would have been amazing.
Just have a scar across the face. What happened?
What happened to your co-host? He died. Why? A bear. He asked the age-old question: if I shit in the woods, will it bring a bear? And it did.
And it wasn't a little bear. God damn it! Had to be the bear from The Revenant.
How did Paul die? Have you ever seen The Revenant? Well, imagine Paul is Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually, no. Imagine Paul is Leonardo DiCaprio's son in that movie.
God bless. Yeah, even worse.
Because he didn't wake up.
No, he did not.
Oh God, that movie. We're ruining movies all over the place. So anyway, I want to put, before we do a full review of it, good job. Again, I watched it 3 times, so I'm not saying it's just, I didn't like it as a story, and you know how big I am on story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, and to add to this, so I want to feel like I'm smashing my way down this. I don't mind art existing, art to clown. I don't mind art to clown existing, and going forward like Jason did or whatever. Because again, by the time you get to Jason Takes Manhattan, if you call it art, is it like, not that it's not entertaining, like, but like, so I think we put, if we say something's not art, we put this negative connotation that it shouldn't exist, and that's not true. Yeah,
Right.
no, lots of things other than art can exist. Stop hating science, you noobs. So I don't know why that came out, but whatever. I love science. So, like, for the filmmakers for Terrifier 3 is I don't mind art going on. And if David Howard Thornton wants to play him or somebody else wants to take it on and try it, like they did with Jason and and such, I see it more his character. So as far as long as he wants to go on, I think it should exist, like Freddy almost.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think Damien needs to let go of it.
Okay.
I think Damien needs, but I don't think Damien needs to let go of it for any other reason than I think he's a talented filmmaker. And I think going back to this over and over again, and I know you're making a ton of money, and listen, I want him to make a ton, and if that's what he wants, but again, that's what goes into, like, it to me though, it's like when you see a really talented filmmaker, right? As from like producing brain, mind of it, like you see a really talented fucking writer and director, you're like, I want something else. I want to see what else you got, because I know it's in there. So unleash it. And now that you have this clout and you know that you can do it, I hope he does. With that being said, with Terrifier 3, I don't know. I mean, Terrifier 4 is clearly coming. I mean, that's another reason I didn't like this one as much, is because me with franchises. I hate to make a movie. Don't make a bridge to the next movie. And then you get Halloween Kills. And that's just another form of it. And don't compare it to, and that's the thing. Don't compare it to Empire Strikes Back, because that's because a lot of people who returned for Return of the Jedi didn't like it as much as Empire Strikes Back, because you left things open and you tried it and it just didn't fulfill. Whereas the first movie is contained. There's an end to it. You blew Death Star, it's over. Anyway, that's just me. All right, let's talk about our 5 takeaways. We're talking about Halloween specials from our childhood.
Yes.
And I'm excited, man. I was really happy to put this list together. I'm gonna give you my parameters now. Do you have any parameters for yours?
They had to be like the dedicated Halloween specials, like before an episode, it's like, this is our special Halloween thing. So for me, that was the parameters. It had to be the Halloween special, not just an episode in TV series or anything that just happened to be a Halloween episode. It's, where it took place on Halloween. It had to be a formal, like during the week, let's say on Disney or whatever. It's like, oh, our Halloween special this weekend coming up is blah, blah, blah.
I love it.
Like stuff like that.
I love that. I went a little bit different of a route, because my number one and my number 2 will always be watched every year. And that is, number 1 is Garfield's Halloween Adventure from 1985. And then It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown from 1966, number 2. I have to watch those every year. I watch Garfield's Halloween Adventure, usually with the kids, but I have to finish Halloween off with it. So that's like that's like when I'm going to bed, I watch that, and I was like, and it brings me back. I remember when I watched for the first time. So like, I wanted to leave it off this list to kind of focus on my favorites from when I was a kid. I watched it. Now, I may not watch it every year. I may have watched it since or shown the kids or something, but it was just one of those things that like kind of it hit and always stuck with me. It's a memorable special. So, all right, let's start with our number 5. Okay, what do you got at number 5?
So number 5, I went with Doug. It's Doug's Halloween Adventure. It's one of my favorite with him and Skeeter. It's a fun one. Them dressing up, walking around, trick-or-treating. It's probably a staple. I used to measure time in episodes of Doug. So it'd be like, oh, we got a 2-hour flight. That's 4 episodes of Doug. That's how. So Doug's a staple by itself, but that episode in particular brings you.
I remember that episode. That was such a good episode too. That's a great choice. I love that. Number 5 for me, it was on when I was a kid. And here's the funny thing. I rewatched it maybe a couple of years ago when Disney Plus came out. It was Mr. Boogedy from 1986. And I didn't remember it. But when I watched, how you watch something from your childhood and like it all ushers right back in, like where you were watching and who you were watching it with, what was going on. And that happened to me with this movie. And I just remembered a really pleasant experience watching it and stuff. And like, I had to put it on the list. So it's at my number 5 is Mr. Boogedy. And I've watched it since every year. So it's been kind of like, it's goofy. It's a goofy Disney movie from the 80s, TV movie. And it's not even, it's like 45 minutes. So but it's fun. I mean, when you were in 1986, it was fun.
There you go.
What's your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is an episode called Stevel. It's from Family Matters, where he gets a ventriloquist dummy, and it's fucking hilarious. And I love puppets and shit, so that's one of my favorite episodes of Family Matters.
I remember that episode. I remember it. I remember that episode so well. That's such a good episode.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I wish I remembered that one. No, mine is the Buffy the Vampire episode from season 2. Their Halloween episode with, I think it's called Halloween, where they become their costumes.
Okay. Yes.
I freaking love that episode. I thought that was so good and so well done. I love that they beat the trope to death too. That for some reason that one night that Xander was like all military, is he just remembers that, like he went through all the training and war and all that stuff. Like, he just has those memories in that training now. It's bonkers. But I love that about it too. So that was a good one. That's my number 4. What is your number 3?
My number 3 is And There Goes Sean from Boy Meets World.
Ooh.
Yes.
Why is that one hit you so hard, my friend?
Boy Meets World just made sense to me. You know, I was growing up at the time, you know, they were growing up, whatever. It was just a fun one because it reminded me of my best friend. Of course, naturally I have to be the piece of shit, so I was Sean. But that's neither here nor there. So just him getting, you know, tortured and everyone trying to scare him and shit like that. It was just, I don't know. Just a perfect episode, you know. Early rising Paul Halloween was all about.
I love it. I love it. And it was a great episode. It's a very memorable episode. So I love that one. All right, my number 3 is the Ghost Rider episode Attack of the Slime Monster Part 1. It was a little series, Halloween themed miniseries, and now this show, if nobody knows what it is, in the 90s. I wanted to be a writer. I knew I wanted to write screenplays. I had started earlier, like, you know, I was really into making movies, stuff like that. But I always loved writing. So Ghost Rider was perfect for me because it was like a group of kids that loved to write. And they had a ghost friend that communicated through words and stuff like that. So they had to figure out, like, sometimes riddles he was putting together and things like that. It was goofy, but whatever. I liked it.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds really good, actually.
I like, you know, as a writer, and they were like my age too, because like it was like 94, 95. So you figure Samuel L. Jackson was on it. He played one of the dads on the show. But you just
interesting.
Yeah, or like after Pulp Fiction too. Like it's crazy. And he was like a really good dad, like really like sweet guy in it and stuff. So like it was funny because like you see him in the movies and then you see him like on TV. It's so crazy. But for a kid, you know what I mean? But I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time when it came out. So they were 12 or 13 in the show. And yeah, it was fun to watch and kind of got you inspired to write. I dug it. But like they did a Halloween, like let me tell you the premise because I wrote it down because nobody's gonna believe it. The episode features a story writing competition where the winner is determined by the scariest and creepiest story about the slime monster. The rules state that the story cannot be violent, so no blood or guns are allowed. And then the young Casey writes a story titled Attack of the Slime Monster about a girl who wanted a slime monster doll for her birthday. And I remember the episode and the monster comes to life and like is doing all these pranks and stuff because it was a kid show, like, you know, like,
right.
Yeah, like teenage, like preteen type stuff. Not like today. Sorry, kids. Preteen kids today. Your preteen shows are Euphoria.
Jesus Christ, like, or Sabrina and shit like that. Like, God.
And I'm not trying to judge on anybody or anything like that, but like it's very provocative compared to what it was when we were a kid. And that was a PBS show. So like it was even less provocative than it could be if it was on like Fox. So that was you know, so like, and whatever, I was a geek. I don't give a shit. I know what it is. But yeah, that was one. I know I overtalked this one a little bit, but you never hear Ghost Rider talked about. And it was like on right before Wishbone. So like, it was just like,
fuck yeah,
some fun stuff. Yeah, you remember Wishbone. So like it was cool to like learn about books and learn about this.
That's awesome.
And Wishbone turned me on to so many classic books to read back in the day.
Wishbone and Lamb Chop. Hell yes.
So good. All right, that was my long-winded number 3. So what is your number 2, sir?
My number 2, it just had to be Freaks or Geeks, and it's a Trick or Treats episode.
Great episode.
I mean, it's Freaks or Geeks, man. Like, I found out about it later in life, so I didn't find out about that show till I was about 14. Friends like, you never watch Freaks or Geeks? You know all these, and I was like, I guess I'll check out the show. Then I was like, holy fuck, how did I never know about this show?
Great
Fell
show.
in love with it. And that Halloween episode, perfect.
It goes as Gort. I love that. Yes. It's like, I'm Gort. Yep. Such a good show. I didn't consider anything. Oh, you know what? Actually, I did, because Buffy would have been 2000. I think I was thinking of it in the 90s. So I was thinking of like anything after I got out of high school, I wouldn't do. But I guess that was the year. I guess it came out after I got out of high school, because if it would have been 2000, then it would have gotten that point. I don't know. Math. My next one is the 1995 primetime Halloween special Goosebumps episode, The Haunted Mask.
Fuck yeah.
Based on a very good book.
Okay.
You know, because I love the Goosebumps book. So like that's what I read. And I remember me and my buddy Anthony, because it would start at 4:30 and like we would want to hang out and it was on Fridays. Goosebumps came out on Fox on Fridays. We were geeks. I don't care. I think we weren't in high school yet. I don't think so. No, 95. No, we were definitely not in high school. We would go to his house. I would take the bus to his house. He would like go get changed or whatever. And then we were going to go to my house and watch it. But he lived all the way across town, and I lived right next to the school. So that now that I think of it, that doesn't make any sense.
Kid logic. Yes.
So I would take the bus to his house, hang out there for a little bit. He would get ready, and then we would like kind of roll out and like walk across town, causing trouble until 4:30. Watching.
Hell yeah!
And when I say causing trouble, I meant like jumping over shit. Like we weren't really like causing trouble. But and then we watch Goosebumps. I guarantee you, in that story, if I just told that flat out without saying that we weren't causing any trouble, and I just said the ending of that story was we started at his house so he can get dressed, and then like went to my house to watch Goosebumps, nobody was thinking that these kids walking from point A to point B were causing trouble. 100%.
And now we do. And now we are. Good. You're incriminating yourself this week.
I don't think so. I am. Yes. I am.
Sure. Good.
I hit a mailbox with a stick, and not the big blue mailbox, just for safety. I'm kidding. Is there a statute of limitation?
Yes.
Did it run out in 1991?
I hope so. You were before 18. You're fine.
All right. I mean, I worked for them afterwards, so they hired me. That's on them.
Yeah. You paid your penance.
10 miles a day for 3.
Right. Yeah, you paid it multiple times.
I feel like I paid it. Yeah. Okay. Fair. All right. I have let them know that I have paid that sentence back.
Yes.
So, that would be a cool work release job. Well, I guess that would be a terrible idea. Sometimes you just have to think about it. Anyway, back to our top 5. That was my number 2. What's your number 1, sir?
My number 1 is The Tale of the Twisted Claw, which is a specific Halloween episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, I remember that episode. Oh my God. I didn't even take Are You Afraid of Dark into account. No, sure.
I had to. That's my favorite. Man, I watched that all year long. I'm not going to, I'll start it back over. I have all 9 seasons on my Vudu, and I'll go through. Then I'm like, all right, I'll take a break. Then I do Twilight Zone. Then I'll come right back to that instant.
Do you want to, you know what? Let's save that for off. I want to ask you something afterwards. Remind me to ask you something afterwards. Yes. All right. My number 1 then, because that's a great pick, by the way. I take that. Are You Afraid of Dark is a great show. I think, honestly, in the kids, like anthology horror shows, like we were talking Goosebumps and stuff, I think that's the best one. Hands down. I think they did already. And even when it came back, they did a pretty good job. Tommy and I watched it. And they were pretty good.
It was terrifying. That intro is the scariest intro. As a kid, I used to not be able to watch it. I'd have to step outside, go. Yeah. I used to have to go pee and wait for it here to end and then hear the match light. And then I'd come back in the room. Like, I couldn't watch that.
What year were you born?
91.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You were like young. I get okay. So the funny thing was, we would Saturdays we would go to my grandparents' house. And like all my aunts and uncles would go because my mom has like 900 brothers and sisters. So they would all like be at the house, and so all the kids were there. But like there weren't a lot of us back then. I was the oldest grandkid on that side of the family. Then my sister, and then we had a cousin. So that was it. You know, but we had my youngest uncle was only 4 years older than. So like he would have friends over and stuff. So like there were other like kids and stuff. But we would watch Snick because that was all you could do. Like, you know, you could just sit there and watch TV. So we'd watch Snick, and like, you know, I was like fine with it because it's like fine. I don't mind Rugrats. I don't mind this, that, and the other. I just want to watch Are You Afraid of Dark? I love horror stuff in the macabre. So like, I just want to watch that. Right. And so we'd get to watch all this other stuff. Ren and Stimpy early on was really cool. That was great to watch too. So like, that was right before Are You Afraid of Dark? So it was fun. But then when they took that out, I think it was Rocco's Modern Life.
Yes.
Or if it wasn't that, Rocco's was new on Saturdays. I don't quite remember, but I do remember 9:30 for us was Are You Afraid of Dark? And all I wanted was that, because at 10 o'clock, the kids had to go to bed. I was teetering. I didn't have to go to bed because I was older, but I wasn't allowed to be in the room because it was like, all right, you watch your kid shit, get out,
Right.
That type of thing. So I didn't have to go to bed, but I wanted to stay up because I would always get cheated out of Are You Afraid of Dark because my little cousin was afraid to watch it. And we'd watch all of this stuff, and I'd always say to him, and be like, listen, can you just go in our grandparents' room and watch, something on their TV at 9:30? Jen will go with you. And then Jen will be like, no, I want to watch Are You Afraid of Dark? And I'm like, God damn it. I want to watch this. So long story, even longer. My sister didn't want to go, so he refused to go. And then he would justifiably, because he was like 3, he's like a little kid, so justifiably, it's not like he was like 12 and we should all treat him like Draco Malfoy. He was a 3-year-old who was afraid of horror stuff. I get it. So, and I couldn't go in the other room because they were going to follow me wherever I went because I tried it, you know what I mean? So I kept saying no, just go in there and watch it. So, and there was only one other TV. So we get to, for whatever reason, I couldn't watch it each week. It would drive me up a wall. So I watched them when there were reruns later. Anyway, that was such a long story to say this.
Yes.
I would stay up and hide, though, because that's when my uncle and his friends would come in and watch Tales from the Crypt, which started at 10.
Hells.
So I did get my horror. So it went out in the night, and I definitely got my horror after that.
Yeah, you did.
But it was cool because it was just that I wasn't allowed to watch that. But then I kind of stayed up with them, maybe watch Saturday Night Live or something sometimes. Not every week, but sometimes. So that was kind of a cool time. But I would always miss out. So I'm glad you picked an Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was my long-winded, terrible story to tell during top 5. But my number one.
That was I didn't mind. It was entertaining. It wasn't art.
Thank you. If this is a clip, go back and watch the whole podcast or listen to the whole podcast. My number one is The Real Ghostbusters, season 1, episode 8 from 1986, when Halloween was forever.
Hell yeah,
that's right. When the Sam Hain monster comes out and is trying to take over and make it Halloween all the time because they stopped celebrating, and that was the deal they made. They have to dress up like the monsters, so they'll leave us alone. That was a cool episode, man. Have you ever seen it?
I think I've seen it once, if I remember correctly, because I think I remember it. But it's been long enough to where I need to rewatch that one, as well as the Ghost Rider.
I was hoping that would make a resurgence, because even Garfield didn't make it every year. You had to be a fan of it. So I was glad my grandmother taped it and we watched it every year. But yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. That's my top 5. You have a good one.
Hell yeah.
I like yours.
You got a great top 5 too. And you're bringing back core memories, because I didn't even it's so weird to think back that growing up, we only had one TV in our house. That's it, just our living room. So you saying there were 2 TVs, I'm like, holy shit, what a time to be alive. Because
my grandparents had to be retired to get to that point.
Right.
So
and we got a 2-bedroom and we got 5 TVs in this house.
Yeah, right.
It's weird. It's crazy time. And tablets and everything else too.
It was so crazy. I'm walking in Walmart yesterday. I tell a little story before we get going, and everybody wants to hear these stories. You can hear them over on our Patreon. So, I'm walking through Walmart, and it's the TVs are getting bigger and bigger, 75, 85, 95, and all for less than $700.
Yeah.
I'm I sold these things, and I did pretty good with it, because they, I would put together packages and stuff. I was more of a package guy, not I was Walmart. It was
please say Circuit City.
No, it wasn't Circuit City. It was I can't think of the name of it. It's only up by where I was, PC Richard and Son. So it was one of the last sort of places, brick and mortar places that you can go where it's commission.
Okay.
So you kind of make your own. as a salesperson. It wasn't hourly. So like as much as I worked, as much as I sold, I make or break my bank. So so that's what I mean. Like when you're selling these TV, you want to sell like the big high end ones, and I'm like, you can't do that with these now. How do you tell anyone you should buy this? Because like unless they have the money and that's just being thrown away. Yeah, which I've never lived that way. No. I can't live that way. Like I wish I could live that way. I can't live that way. But like if you see all this stuff and like how, and I'm just like, how do you argue? How do you tell anybody this day and age? Yeah, no, you need this $3,000 42-inch 4K UHD suck a day with whatever D you can get inside of you, D things like that. I don't know how you can justify that when they can go to Walmart and it's like $688 for a TV that is like 3 times its size.
Right.
You know?
And it's usually the sister company of whatever high-end name you're buying. So it's like same component, same everything. It's just different name on it. That's it.
It really is so crazy to me. And it just really is. Like every time I see stuff like that, it just starts. Yeah. But we talked about 2 things in that little scenario, and the last one too, that we're going to be getting into tonight. This whole episode is kind of led up to our reviews. That's right. Let's start with our review of Terrifier 3, which we talked about earlier.
Yes, we did.
We also talked about Saturday Night Live, which we're going to be talking about that movie too.
Woo-hoo. Yes, sir.
So I want to get into this wonderful Terrifier 3 sequel.
T3. Yes, sir.
We talked about it a bit and kind of our feelings on this. Well, I don't think you talked about your feelings. We're going to do more non-spoiler.
Okay, so I'll be very vague. I'll be general. I won't give any specifics. There you go.
Well, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. It's our podcast. I can do whatever I want. We're going to change this up. We're going to go spoilerific. I want to hear what Paul says. I want to hear what you're feeling and see what you're feeling. I want all these people to do the same.
Yes.
Just go. Just tell me. I want to hear what you think. I love it.
Absolutely. All right. So Terrifier 3, you guys, I already was a little hyped just from the other 2, that alone. Then I found out they were shooting this like around like Christmas season kind of theme. I thought it was brilliant, because it wasn't necessarily a Christmas killer or someone like Kris Kringle being the guy with the, ice cube that's going to stab you to death. It wasn't quite all that. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a different take. Cool. And that opening fucking bar scene where Art goes in there and he's just chilling with Santa, and Santa's like, yeah, it's all fine because he's drunk and shit. 100% my dumbass. Because if I was in there drinking, that'd be me. I'd be like, oh, no, he's fine. He's cool to come in. Everyone's like, bro, fuck no. Yeah, man, no, he's fine. But as we know, then Art pisses in his lap. And bro, I was the only person laughing. I didn't give a shit. High as fuck. That shit was funny as hell. Starts peeing in his lap, and everything just changes immediately. They're like, get the fuck out of here.
Not just, can I just add to the laughing portion?
Oh my god.
For this, I need a disclaimer on this for a lot of people, because this movie's a lot.
Yeah.
This movie's a lot for a lot of people, even horror fans. There's a lot of horror fans that are just like, this is too much. And I get that. And I'm not against pushing the boundaries or anything like that. We talked about art versus entertainment and such earlier. So I don't want to get into that topic. Go watch that or listen to that from earlier. But I'm not. I laughed at things in this that if I describe what I laughed at, and I'm going to, most people who don't get it are going to be like, you're a horrible person.
Yes. Right. But
you have to understand, and this is the disclaimer I'm going to put up, and this is what I was trying to say about the filmmaking earlier, a little, and touch down on this too, is it's very creative. The way they film this movie, you never really actually, like sometimes it's just a fucking doll. You can tell they're clearly cutting into a doll because it's not moving at all while he's torturing it alive for 5 or 10 minutes. And that when I get to my portion of view, I'll talk about the timing and such. But that is the disclaimer I have to give you guys. Like if we say we're laughing at this, yes, the notion of it is horrifying.
That part.
We're laughing at it because of the way it was filmed, the way it was taken. And when with that context, I think that's important with this review that people understand.
Yes.
With that being said, I totally laughed during the Christmas present scene in the mall.
Oh my god. Yeah, I leaned over to Sam and Matt. I was like, there's a bomb. There's a bomb. Like there's gonna be a bomb. And they're like, no, there's not. Today. Boom.
So
Jesus Christ.
but there's like one in particular that's done in such a cartoon, like a cartoon Looney Tunes sort of way that like you're just like they're trolling you at this point. That's why I was able to watch it and not be so uncomfortable, because I was like, if it's coming from, like, Serbian film is a sadistic mind,
Right.
The Human Centipede, that's a sadistic mind who's trying to push the envelope in the name of sort of anarchy, which I'm not saying doesn't have its place.
Right.
Even that has its place in entertainment field.
Right.
But this is not that. This is, the filmmakers are clearly like, I mean, and I think it's a detriment to the movie. I think it's funny as hell though. Like, I don't like, if you put dramatic music to that mall scene, you're a horrible person. You're a horrible person. You're disgusting. If that was a dramatic turn, if we watched a dramatic movie that led to that scene with Christmas music in it because it's Christmassy,
right,
you're a horrible person. But because of what you know about these movies, you're like, and like, as a cinephile, I have to just be like, I mean, I know it wasn't done. It was done sadistically in a horror fan way,
right?
Not in a, I want to see this happen to kids, or this is how I feel. This is you guys painted yourself into a corner so much, and you're creatively still doing it. Like, you're creative. And in that creativity, it means that you're just straight up walking on the paint you just paint.
Right.
There's nothing in this movie that merits a good movie.
Right.
In a traditional sense. But it merits a lot of entertainment in the gore sense, man. This one, but that's where it bugs me, is because I feel the story got worse after the second one, which I needed after the first one, because I was like, the first one's no story, this sucks.
Right.
I was like, then the second one, and like even like the one before, it was All Hallows Eve or something.
Yeah, All Hallows Eve. Yep.
All Hallows Eve. I was like, I need a story, and like, I know they said they were building a mythos to it, and they are. There's clearly another movie coming, and I'm wondering how far they're going to take it. Or is he going to be in hell? What's happening? Whatever it is, I will check it out. I will see where the story goes. So it's not that terrible to me, where like, this isn't trash. This is chud. Yeah. This is chud. Now, why is it chud? Like, chud, well, I do think chud has a better story. Damn. But it doesn't have as good of characters. And the acting in this is getting better and better. Each passing movie, the acting gets better and better, stronger, because you're getting characters returning. So like, that's cool to see. That's a very clear sign of a very good director. You know, because that means he's getting better. I want to see something else from these people. Right. Not maybe with them doing it all together again, but show me something else. I know David Aaron Thornton's going to be, dude, he could be the next Doug Jones. Yeah. Yeah. You know, not saying Doug Jones still can't do it or anything, but but like a younger version kind of coming up, doing it, like creating characters, you know, and doing the makeup and stuff that just, you might have talked me into a higher rating on this just through this. Hell yeah. But it's all filmmaking. The movie's terrible. The movie's terrible. It's not, but it's entertaining. Right. It's terribly entertaining. That's what I'm going to call it. It's a terribly entertaining movie. And I respect the filmmaking that goes into it. I just wish they would get off of this train. Continue art if you want to continue art. Hand the reins over to other filmmakers. Let's do it like that. I thought they should have done that with Hell House as well. Yeah. Sort of like hand it off like they used to do back in the day. Yeah, Sean Cunningham helped make the Friday the 13th universe, but who made Jason? Who gets the credit for Jason? Right. You know, the ones we love. And it really depends. That's the objectiveness to it. Right. It's like, that's the artistic value to it, is like, who brought that to it? And like, now you go to Freddie and it's like, Robert Englund brought that. Robert Englund throughout brought an artistic value to these movies, because again, there's a lot of those that fit this bill too. You know, so shitty. So not good movies in a traditional sense, but entertaining movies. So, and this is definitely where it falls for me. I'm not asking you to agree, but with that, I'm going to give my rating first, because I believe Paul should like give a little prelude to his rating. You talked me up from a 1 to a 2.5. Okay.
Hell yeah.
You talked me up from it because with your rating, I was like, really? I need to watch this again to see why you see that. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that point, that's my third time watching this movie. Mm-hmm. So I can't think it's that bad if it's third time watching the movie. So that watching it the third time, seeing some new eyes, and then today with your conversation raises it 2.5. And which is to me is a good movie.
Yeah.
An entertaining movie.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I'm going to propose it from now on. So please tell us about your rating, where it comes from.
I think I give it a 4, right? So I give it an 8 out of 10. Sorry. So 4 out of 5. I really liked it. My big thing is I add extra points for things that I like little things, cinematography things, all types of things. They earned an extra point just from publicity because my parents are very old school. We're not going to say what news station they watch. But their news station was covering this because they're like, oh, they're killing kids, this and that. They were getting free publicity just from the news. And yes, they do, they do kill children, whatever, in this movie. Mm-hmm. But it's not grotesque like my parents were told by their news source.
Yeah, actually, not a lot of them are on screen.
No. Yeah. It's implied, what happens, but it's not like they're being told it's vulgar and stuff. So they're like, wait, you saw that garbage? Like, what'd they do to the kids? We heard that, they're eating kids live on camera, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, no, what the fuck are you talking about? So kudos to the free publicity, in my opinion. I think for a horror movie, when it's blown up like that to where news is wrongly covering it, that's just going to help you. And so you get an extra point just for that.
I just to interject, and this isn't to defame anybody in any way. I think this is all a publicity stunt putting out. I think it's a PR thing saying people are walking out, they're killing kids. I think all of that sort of became, let's create this campaign that you're making the craziest movie ever. And it's you do, but not for those reasons, not because not disgustingly. That's why I said it wasn't sadistic. But yeah, I agree with you. Their publicity is definitely, I give them a lot of credit too.
Yeah, I'm not giving them more points. the theater experience helped too. That probably earned up an extra half point because the crowd was into it. People around me at least were holding their breaths for some of those kills. And we saw 3 or 4 couples walk out. They didn't once the mall scene happened, they couldn't handle it. And I respect everyone. Hey, if you can't handle it, you can't. I don't know why they couldn't handle it, but they couldn't. And to me, I was like, well, that's, in my opinion, that's kind of cool because it made you feel something, whether it's negative or not. I feel for them. I hope they're okay. But regardless, if that was just their limit of horrifying things they can see and that was their limit, that's awesome. Me, that's awesome.
And it pushes that limit. And even after that, it goes and it pushes it even farther in certain areas. And I thought they did well in that. I was and I don't want to say anything. I was sad to see certain characters go in one way. And then kind of how it plays out, and that's, I don't want to spoil that for anybody. We're talking about a lot of these kills and such, but I don't think that's where the heart of this lies. No. I think they're there. I think that's where its biggest flaws are, is the length of it. And progressively they get longer. Maybe not longer, but longer in a sense where you're sacrificing elements of a story to fit this 2-hour whatever framework. You're cutting elements of a story to add. There's 23 or 24 kills in this.
Yes,
and it's not like art spends, if it's a big kill like the mall kills, you have to set that up. If it's the bar kill, you have to set that up. If it's this, that, so that takes 5 or 10 minutes just to set up a side story for him to have a kill. Right. Then you have the kills, because sometimes it's just come on, man, it's 5 minutes. You just torturing.
Yes.
And it's I don't it's not even that's boring.
Right.
There were times where I'm like, all right, we're back in it. We're now following this because the family who takes in Sienna and what's his name is in college, and which boggled my mind, and ultimately too, because I'm like, how old was he in the last one? So I'm that family had a kid, but they were really distraught. They're like, I want to help, but we got a family on our own, and I was like, I get it. So there was a lot of drama to it and stuff, but you take us out of that and then put us in a 5-minute torture scene for shock, and that's where I say your movie suffers. Give me give me 8 of those, because let's just say or cut them in half, give me 11, fine, or whatever, right? And just tell a good story around it, and then fine. Now I have to go through 11 5-minute scenes of torture instead of 23. And it's not that it's too much to handle, it's that I'm bored by them.
I get that. I can,
you know?
yeah, I get that.
And that's where like it draws away from the movie for me, because it's like you've got a great character, you have these actors that are doing a really good job, and you think the acting lies in how they're reacting during their death scenes, and it's not. Right. It's the tension building up. It's all, but it's not there when I got to sit there for 5 minutes and all this stuff. So I think that's its biggest flaw for me, and that's why I have it as where it's at. But if you're a horror fan and you're really into this, I think it's for you. Go check it out.
Yep. And I will say that opening scene, I appreciate they did it how I wish Beetlejuice had done it. So they pick up where the second one left off.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wasn't sure which.
No. Because like for Beetlejuice,
he opens it like a few times with that body like walking around, and then so
because Beetlejuice pissed me off because in my opinion, I'm nobody. They should have opened that scene with Beetlejuice, with his number finally getting called, then Jenna Ortega saying Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And then he gets pulled out of line or something like that. Instead of, okay, as an officer, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to leave it off, you got to pick it up where it is, or at least give something in between. So I did like that they picked it up right then. And then it told us more about art, and I'm not going to give that spoiler away, but it was like, okay, this is what we're dealing with now. Okay, that opened it up different, because I was wondering how it was going to pan out. But
I do like that they're leaning into that lore a bit, like the supernatural side of it, because there was a point where it just seemed like sort of an explanation,
right?
Just okay, it's like, oh, he's just back from the demon. So but and it's not just that they explain it that way, because they did allude to her being an angel,
right?
In the second one. So you get to this one, and I just don't think it did a good job following up on a lot of those things. And not that it's not going to, but I need the movie to have an enclosed. Like you can't just. I can't hope that it's in the fourth one, because God forbid this wasn't number one, which I'm glad it was. I'm always glad to see an independent movie come in number one at the box office.
Right.
I don't care whether it's art or entertainment. And I prefer. Because the Joker Folie à Deux is supposed to be art.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. It's even considered, but it isn't. And it's not even entertaining. So I was so glad to see art come out on top of that. Art decline, get these Terrifier movies. So I do support the indie side of it. And again, on our whole conversation of art versus entertainment, I still think that counts. And I'm glad to see an indie win out. That being said, I read a statistic about this movie.
Oh.
It's a very niche statistic.
Uh-oh.
This was the number one movie for clown-like characters this year, with like white faces. This is the number one movie this year. So like this is like it's on track too to make some good money. And I have a feeling like it's not. I don't think it's going to make the mass appeal.
You're right. Yeah, it's a cult movie for sure.
Honestly, they could make a mass appeal Terrifier. Just cut down those deaths. Just like have him when he's handing out the presents and stuff, cut away to maybe an extra shot of like a newspaper or like a screen. Oh my God, mass explosions at the mall today. So like you allude to it, and then you could make like a rated R, like, I mean, it is rated R, but like, you know what I mean? Right. You can make like a mass appeal version of this.
Yep.
And that's another thing about art versus entertainment is you can't do that with art.
Right.
You cannot reshape art, and I think you should be able to reshape certain things.
I think my biggest gripe with this movie, it was the production value. When I heard they had 2.3 million budget for this one, I expected to noticeably see a lot more. I wouldn't say even realistic for the kills, but even better cameras, better angles, more. I expected more.
You mean how clearly that snow angel in the blood was a cutaway that probably happened months and months later?
Right. Yeah, shit like so. Like I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, I'm not seeing where this extra, because I mean, to me, I rewatched the second one yesterday. I didn't notice difference from 2 to 3, and that's a pretty big budget difference. So I'd like to see where they were putting it, because I didn't see it. And I get, you had certain elements you probably had to pay more for, because I'm not trying to give those spoilers away, but
everyone got pay bumps, and I don't blame them. Everyone should. I guess,
but that's a lot more. Anyway, that's a lot.
Well, you have to imagine. Budgetary. This isn't an admonish. I'm not admonishing anybody for what they get paid or this, that, and the other. I don't care. Budgetary. This is all a point I'm talking about. When I watch this movie and I think about 2, and I even think about 1 and where these budgets come from and their budgets versus the other. And I do think about these, especially in movies like Terrifier and, when they're announced and what I see versus. So I agree. I think the charm of the Terrifier movies lies in that they all look the same. There's not even much difference from the first movie, from Terrifier to Terrifier 3 in terms of look. The budget to me went up justifiably through the actors and the crew that were returning. Producers deserved more money, director deserved more money, writer deserved more money. And I know they're the same people, but there are 2 different paychecks. And justifiably so. So all of that, plus they have backing now, things like that. So that a lot of that budget went to money, which was deserved. Now that's how it comes down to when you're making these sequels, and that's great. I'm glad they were all on board for Terrifier 3 because that was their payday. This is their payday, right? I
got you.
And I know they're going to come back for Terrifier 4, and if they are going to do that, I hope that's their last one. They tell their story and then they're gone. And then because I can see really big things happening for all of them.
Right.
And as a cinephile, I want to see what they have to show me more than art. So that's where I pull from. So that budget to me was higher paychecks and a more elaborate kills. And because there was only I think 12 kills in 2. And there's only 3 in the first one or something a certain amount on screen that you really see. But this one has, like I said, 23 or 24, and they're elaborate.
Right.
You had a lot of things you had to do in this to make it more disturbing. Like that shower scene alone with the chainsaw. So and always think about it this.
Yeah.
In a Jason movie, the kill's maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, not minutes.
In a budget, 10 seconds is still a lot of money. What goes into that 10 seconds? Is there blood? Is somebody getting cut? Is this happening? What do the actors have to do? How many actors? This, that. So you have to take all that account. So that 10 seconds can be a lot. This movie had 5 to 10 minute kills.
Yeah.
So it's you're going to take a lot of money out of that. That's a lot of that special effects. So that's that right there. That's where your budget stays. So I think it is important for them to keep the charm because it all looks the same.
Right.
If you get to the next one and it looks think about Hell House.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. By the time you get to that third one, you're this doesn't really look the same. It doesn't have that charm, Yeah. So it doesn't have that charm with it and stuff like that. And it's just not the same. Blair Witch, same thing. A lot of found footage because it's very niche, but So something like this, I'm glad they're keeping it similar.
Right.
But I do see I see the promise of how talented they are in other areas. You see it in the acting scenes and the drama and stuff like that. You see a lot of David Howard Thornton's really good mime work in those kill scenes. Yes. But I think you see more when he's being creepier, Art, just walking around.
Yes. Yeah, just fucking with people, just trolling the shit out of everyone. Absolutely.
I'd rather see an Art that has some graphic kills. Don't shy away from them. I'm not saying you can't go hardcore like they did, but a lot of those kills weren't the same, but it wasn't that different than the second one, the first one.
No.
So I can use less of those and just be crazier on the ones that you have. I know we're beating a dead horse with this review on the length and stuff like that, but that's just we liked it and we wanted to, we want to share the good and the bad of what we liked. But overall, Paul gave it a 4. I gave it a 2.5. Go check it out for yourselves. Don't judge it without seeing it. That's the only thing I'll say.
Facts.
With that being said,
yes,
it is time to move on to our next review, and that is Saturday Night. Now, this is based on the book. This is directed by Jason Reitman. It tells the story of the 90 minutes leading up to the very first episode 49 years ago, this past weekend, actually. I think it was October 11th, is when it premiered on NBC. And it was just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background before we get into it, because it kind of be spoilers as well. That show was Lorne Michaels' baby. He was going, he's taking his friends from Second City and wanted to make the show on NBC. And he wanted it to be very thrown together, very satire. The show was just basically sketches, and it was fun, and it was and music, and it was supposed to be a point of view of the culture in the 70s and how, the young culture, and how it was kind of taking over going into the 80s. Midway through, we are not our parents' culture. This is Gen X breaking away from the boomers, and I think there's a lot of that in this that fits to today's mold, and so I think it's a good story to tell today. But in the book, and a little bit of a backstory, so if you guys know, so you guys know if you don't know, I'm sorry. Johnny Carson ruled the airway. NBC was his domain. If he didn't want you on, you weren't going to be on. And if you were anywhere close to his time slot, it wasn't going to happen. And on weekends, he would have a show.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a night off. He didn't want to do a show on weekends anymore, on Saturday nights anymore. So they were going to do reruns of Johnny Carson. So Johnny Carson had to give you the blessing to be able to do your show. And now that's the perfect representation in this movie. And what they're trying to say is Johnny Carson was the boomer generation. So everybody loved Saturday Night Live is coming in. It's the Gen X generation that wants to kind of change things and flip it on its head. So anybody out there, Gen Z, yes, Gen X did the same things. They were doing that as well when they were younger, just like you were. But they get to that point where now in this movie, and he does obviously give his blessing, which is world famous, the night of, and he did it tongue in cheek, like, go ahead and put on your little show. It's not going to happen. And as we see this past weekend, they celebrated 50 years on the air. So good on Saturday Night Live. I was always a big fan. So this has the old cast recast. Lorne Michaels is not recast, but like is being played. I really had fun with this movie, but I don't think it caught the charm of the actual story as it's been told in the past. What do you think?
Okay. So I don't know a lot about Saturday Night Live because I honestly never really got into that show. Honestly, I don't know why. I think I don't know. It just never clicked with me. So I was interested to see what this was like. It was fun. Like you said, I enjoy that we follow, the director the entire time. So it's, kind of behind the scenes shot, which is a lot of fun, seeing the stress he's going through. One thing works, one thing doesn't. I really enjoyed seeing the actors portraying young Belushi and Chevy Chase and how they acted. And a lot of the dialogue is exactly what I've essentially what I've heard from the interviews I have heard about them in the early days. So it was like, cool. I'm glad you didn't try to sugarcoat this or change this around. And I think you paid the correct homage how you should. How they did Jim Henson was hilarious. That's exactly how Jim Henson has always appeared to me. That whole little,
you mean look wise or how he acts?
Both, but I guess essentially just more how he spoke. So I guess more of his dialogue.
I'm not judging it.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I've heard him in interviews. I don't really remember Jim Henson as well as much as I do his creations, I should say.
I got you. Right. Yeah. He's always seemed like the dad of the bunch. Like he didn't curse, things like that. Like he was a Muppet at heart, if you will. Like he just wasn't. So like I didn't realize he started on SNL or he was on SNL. So it's like, oh yeah, I can imagine how it's night and day difference for you. And you probably had a lot of problems with the cast. I thought it was great. It made me want to give SNL a chance and start from the very beginning and work my way through all the episodes if I can do that, just from watching the show. So I don't know necessarily the true story of how much this followed or not. But as far as just a moviegoer, I thought it was entertaining. I didn't think it was anything to, write home to. Like I would never beg people to go see it. But if someone was like, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. Rewatchability, I don't know if I would need to watch it again. But I think if you don't know anything about SNL, I think this definitely opens your eyes and makes you want to watch it. Because I think they did a good job building you wanting the show to work, even though I have no attachments to the show. And we just celebrate 50 years, but you wanted the show to work. So they did a good job building it. Not like, I don't give a shit if it works or not, or this kid falls on his ass. Like,
he definitely, I mean, Lorne Michaels is still there, like he left for 5 years in the 80s. And that was the time when Eddie Murphy and that crew came in. And then when Lorne Michaels came back, like the tail end of it was like included Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Downey Jr. By the time Lorne Michaels comes up, like he kind of gets it back to where he wanted it and like who he was bringing it. Although I don't think that the 5 years was bad. I like that 5 years. It was just different, So like,
I got you.
So when he comes back, like we get the Phil Hartman years, the Sandler years. I love Saturday Night Live. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live in high school. I was like, I just want to do a season of it. It feels like it would be so much fun. The comedy too and all that aspect. So as you can see, I didn't do that. No, but like,
you got Tuesday nights.
So, and I love reading about it, watching it. Yeah, Tuesday. That's true. We're Tuesday Night Live. You're right. I like it. Thank you, Paul. See, that's what we do here. We're friends building friends up.
Yes.
Even though I messed with Paul, it's out of love, But
yes.
so Saturday Night Live, Saturday night was a lot of fun to watch. I love that Jason Reitman did it. I love that he did the music. John Batiste helped him, who was playing the character, and I forget what singer he was in the movie. He was helping with the music and kind of piecing everything together, and they were playing it on set, recording it like they would watching Saturday Night Live. So it's not dubbed over and put in or whatever. So I thought that was a very cool element. It's a very realistic element. I like Nicholas Braun, who did play Jim Henson. He also played Andy Kaufman in the movie. Two very stark, different personalities, but innocent enough. Right. Coming together, bringing some really cool stuff. Yeah, my only thing is the characters in this. It wasn't a story that really compelled me to the point where it's like, I need to know what's going to happen. I know this. I know it comes out.
Right.
I know exactly what's going to happen. It works.
Right.
So there's no surprise to it. So all the tension's not there from.
Right.
I would have preferred, rather than build the tension of the 90 minutes, keep kind of playing on it, keep talking about it. I'm not saying it can't be a part of it, and keep playing on the nervousness. I like that when he's talking to his wife, Rosie Schuster, in the movie. And all the characters played really, really well in this. But when they're talking and he's talking about how nervous he is and stuff and things like that, and it's real. It's I like this more than when all the cast members are just being crazy or saying things, because that almost feels like you're trying to give me caricatures of these very real people that we know them as. Right. Because of Saturday. I would have preferred maybe a little more in depth. I did like the Chevy Chase stuff with Milton Berle. I did like the John Belushi when he's not just sitting there acting like a gruff asshole, which I know he is famously was before. Right. But I liked it when he's outside and he's thinking about it. You see a human element to it. Lamorne Morris says Lamorne, I can't remember his last name. He's from The New Girl, plays Garrett Morris in the movie. Brought a lot of life to it, a lot of character, so I liked a lot of elements to this movie, but there was no real tension. They were trying to build this tense moment where I'm like, you celebrate your 50th year, guys. I would have preferred more character driven story than ambiance driven story. So overall I thought the acting in this was really well done. Willem Dafoe did a good job as the what's his name? I can't think of his name, but everybody did, hands down. I can't remember everybody's name in the moment, but I gave this one I believe you gave this one a
3.5, if I remember correctly. I think
yes, and I gave it a 3.5 as well. Sorry that took so long, guys. I had it written down and I put it in the wrong spot. So so we both gave it a 3.5. I really did. I liked it. I liked how they put this together. I almost kind of want one if there's a fun story to tell about the 90s cast.
Oh, that'd be cool.
If there's a fun story, though.
Yeah.
That's because I don't want one person's story from the 90s where you kind of incorporate everybody. I want something like this where they're talking about Saturday Night Live. So if there's a cool story there, maybe kind of continue these. That'd be kind of fun. I don't need a franchise, though. This was fine. When this comes out streaming, we're going to watch it, and then we're going to watch the very first episode of Saturday Night.
Okay. That works for me. Sounds awesome.
Play it out. Well, no, I just meant my wife and I. We're going to do that for fun.
So never mind.
You can come over. But
after watching this, if I could change one thing, I like the actor that played Belushi. The whole time I could not stop staring and saying this should have been played by Jack Black. 100%. Young Belushi with the hair, and I think the mannerisms. I think you could have gotten a little bit more with Belushi if it had been Jack Black.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't mind the actor, but I felt having someone. I think not John Belushi. Jim Belushi. Not Jim Belushi. Why am I saying John Belushi? Should have been played by for me maybe a Josh Gad.
Okay.
Just I feel because he was so somber throughout. He wasn't being very funny in this movie. I thought add a dramatic element to it. I just didn't get the facial expressions from this actor. He was very quiet throughout. And if they weren't trying to put a whole central aspect to him, I would have been. I thought you probably needed a little bit more gravitas in that role. But I did. Yeah, I do agree with you though. I like what you're saying. Jack Black, of course, would have been great in it too. He does great dramatic.
Right.
So I can't. I would not take that away from him. But I have great choices. I don't know why Josh Gad popped in my head when you said that though. I was like, now I can't unsee it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do like Jack Black as well. But that's our review of Saturday Night. Let us know what you think. Or any of our other reviews. Check out the podcast. I want to say thank you guys. We are still doing our giveaway, as you guys can see. Or if you're listening, we're doing our Beetlejuice handbook of the recently deceased popcorn bucket. And a Beetlejuice is like his tie, his shirt, and there's like a topper to it. Souvenir cup. These things are pretty awesome. We just did a giveaway for Deadpool and Wolverine, sort of similar. Everybody loved them. So we'll be doing the drawing on October 31st live. We'll spin the wheel, and 2 lucky winners will each take one of these items away. But you have to be on our Patreon. That's the way to do it. You got to join up on our Patreon. Follow us there. Free or paid tiers, it doesn't matter. It will both get you into the giveaway. Also, you will see the episodes of the Scene Snobs podcast because we will be putting up the video there exclusively for the week before it drops on YouTube. So you'll be able to get those early. And that goes for lives as well. Live shows will be on YouTube. And then after that, they're just exclusively over on Patreon for the week. So you can watch them live, or you have to go check it out on Patreon. You also get our newsletter, tons of other perks, whether you're paid or free tier, and it's a great time. So, Paul, you have anything you want to add to the mix, my friend?
So like I said, guys, Saturday I wasn't feeling too good. All jokes aside, make sure to listen to your bodies or your kids, all that. Sicknesses are going around. Try to, wash your hands more. Try to, hydrate a little bit more. And if you don't feel well, stay home because, I hope I didn't infect anyone else, but just because you might feel okay enough to go out doesn't mean someone else is going to handle it well. And some people can't handle sicknesses like that. So just be mindful of your health status and take care of yourselves and each other. Keep watching, keep listening, keep loving the magic of movies, you guys.
I love it. And we're going to be back next week. I think we're probably going to be live next week. We'll definitely be live for our Halloween episode. So make sure you're checking that out. That's going to be a great time. That'll be on the 29th. That's right, Tuesday the 29th. So go check that out. And then I know I'll be on Sturdy's show on the actual Halloween night, but we will be doing the live drawing here on the Scene Snobs channel. Guys, go check out everything we got going on. We have a full watch going on of movies all month. You can see me do reviews on that. Paul, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you all for watching and listening. We truly appreciate you and love you. This is our episode. And remember, everybody, we love movies. We know you do too, so join us, Snob Nation. And until next time, remember to be kind, stay classy, and take care of yourselves. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.